This is lesson 7-6, subtracting mixed numbers. Our essential question, how can you subtract to find the difference of mixed numbers? And here is a quick example of that. No vocab for this lesson. Alright, we have example number 1. We have 2 3/4 minus 2 1/4. So luckily in this problem we already have common denominators. So we don't have to change the denominators. We can simply subtract. So we subtract our whole numbers. 2 minus 2 is going to be 0. So we're not going to have a whole number anymore. Then we subtract our numerators. 3 minus 1 is 2. And the denominator stays the same, which is 4. But remember, we always want to simplify if we can. 2 and 4 can both be divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our answer is 1/2. Example number 2, you're going to see something similar to this on your test. A cactus is 63 centimeters tall. Another cactus is 4 7/8 centimeters shorter. How tall is the second cactus? So, since the second cactus is shorter, that tells me we're going to be subtracting. So we're going to be subtracting 63 minus 4 7/8. Alright, now here is the tricky part. So you might want to write yourself some notes on this if you think you're going to forget. If we have just a whole number first, we can't subtract with the mixed number because it has a fraction, and we don't have a fraction over here. So we're going to have to make a fraction. So what we do is kind of like when we subtract with whole numbers, we're actually going to borrow a whole number and turn it into a fraction. So we're going to subtract 1. So 63 minus 1 is 62. But we can't just get rid of a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to add it back as a fraction. And the way we figure out this fraction is by looking at our second number. We look at our denominator, which is 8. So that becomes our new denominator. And whenever you have a fraction and you're trying to make it a whole, it has to have the same numerator and denominator. So 8/8. That equals 1 whole. So 62 plus 8/8 actually equals 63. Because 8/8 is really equal to 1. Any fraction that has the same numerator and denominator is equal to 1. So now we just put those together. So we put 62 and 8/8 together as a mixed number. And now we can subtract. Now we just take our second part of the problem and we can subtract. We already have common denominators, so we can go ahead and subtract. We have 62 minus 4 is 58. Then we do our numerators. 8 minus 7 is 1. And denominators stay the same. So it's 58 1/8. Alright, example number 3. So now we have different denominators. So we have to find that least common denominator. So we have 4 and 3. So 4, 8, 12, and 3, 6, 9, 12. So 12 is my common denominator. So I have to get both of my denominators to 12. So I'm going to start with 4 1/4. I have to get that denominator to 12. So I know 4 times 3 equals 12. So I have to do the same thing to the numerator. 1 times 3 is 3. So now that becomes 4 and 3/12. Now I do the second mixed number, 3 1/3. I have to get that as 12 on the denominator. I know 3 times 4 is 12. So 1 times 4 is 4. So that becomes 3 and 4/12. All right, here's that tricky part again. Because I can subtract my whole numbers, but take a look at the the numerators. I have a 3 minus 4. And I can't do that. I can't subtract 3 minus 4. So I'm going to have to change 4 and 3/12 into something that's going to be able to subtract. So I'm going to do the same thing like I did in example number 2. I'm going to borrow a whole from my whole number. So now my whole number becomes 3. I just took 1 away from it. Now I have to add it back as a fraction. So remember, you look at your denominator. My denominator is 12. So that's my new denominator for the fraction that I'm adding. Remember, I need to add back 1 whole because I just took away 1 from my whole number. So I have to have the same numerator as my denominator. And now here's another step that we didn't have to take in the last problem that we do have to take in this problem because we have a fraction part in this problem. So here's my whole number. It's 3 now. And now I have this that I have to add together. Because I already had 3/12. And now I had to add 12/12 to it. So I just add those together. 3 plus 12 is 15. And remember, your denominator stays the same. So I'm just going to put that together. And I'm going to do it over here on the end. So I take my whole number 3 and put it with the fraction, 15/12. Now I can subtract my second number, which was 3 and 4/12. And I'm going to write my answer up here because I have a little more room. So I subtract the whole numbers. 3 minus 3 is going to be 0, so I don't have a whole number anymore. 15 minus 4 is 11, and denominator stays the same, which is 12. So the answer is 11/12. All right, example number 4. 9 3/4 minus 7. So here's something that's a little different. When we had a whole number first, we had to change it. But if the whole number comes second, we don't have to change it. We could just go ahead and subtract. So 9 minus 7 is 2. And we don't have a fraction on this part. So we can just keep this fraction the same, 3/4. So the answer is 2 3/4. All right, here are 3 practice problems. In number 3, that 6 is going to have to change. You're going to have to borrow a whole number. So the 6 is going to become a 5. And you're going to have to add a fraction to it. Use the denominator from 7/8 to add the fraction. Don't forget a word problem or a question and rate your understanding.